Hi, my name is Jamie North with Glitz and Kits, and today I wanted to share with you how to make this Navette BeCharmed Kumihimo project. Now I've got some samples here to show you. This is the Navette pendant, the large one. It's 40 millimeters. There's 3 BeCharmed beads. This is Tex 135. S-long cord, and there's some size 11 seed beads and some Soutache. So what I wanted to start with is just talk about a little bit about options and colors and stuff. This one obviously is the clear Navette, a bronze BeCharmed, iridescent light blue, and I think this is a cream BeCharmed. This option uses vintage gold, blackberry, and platinum, and it's a golden shadow, crystal golden shadow Navette. But you don't always have to use 3 BeCharmed beads, so I wanted to try some other options. This one, I love this pendant. It's just a ceramic pendant. This is a brown BeCharmed bead, and you can see it's still quite effective. I've pulled together some other options here to show you. If you decide that 3 is too many, not everybody likes that look. This is an iridescent green on an organic leaf. These pendants are made in Spain, but you could use any other pendant. This is a boho drop. This one is called coral pink, or pink coral, this BeCharmed bead, and it really pulls out the peachy tones. This pendant is an arrowhead raku pendant, available on the website. This is with a iridescent purple BeCharmed bead. I think it pulls out the purples quite nice. This again is another raku option. This is snowflake, also available on the site. It looks nice with the bronze pearl, but it also would look good, I think, with the iridescent purple. Anyway, you have lots of options. I wanted to talk about those options first, and then talk about the materials that, oops, sorry for that, that you'll need. So for this project, the materials are whatever pendant you want. The project I'm going to show you, we'll use the Jet Navette, and 3 BeCharmed. This is iridescent light blue, black, dark blue. And you will need 4 cords of Soutache. I'm going to use the Midnight Italian Luxury Soutache. And those cords should be 55 inches long, so 4 cords 55 inches long. 8 cords of Tex 135 S-long. That should be 60 inches long each. So in this case, I'm using Capri Blue. Some of the tulle, of course, whatever pendants you decide on, some of the tools are 1 bobbin, your Kumihimo disc. I use a double density. With this project, you want one that's dedicated Tex 135, or you want a new disc. If you don't use double density, you can stack 2 single density, one on top of the other, but you want something that's going to grab those cords. If you use a disc that has had heavier cords in it, it's not going to hold it tight enough. I also use a scrap, I've got a scrap of wire here, stringing wire, a weight. Your weight is 45 grams, or 1.6 ounces. You want size 8 stop beads, so you'll need 2 of those. Some size 11, and in this case, actually, I think I've got size 10 there, but we'll see if it works. I've checked it. I think it should work, but you want some size 11 seed beads. And I've got a scrap of Eslon here that I'll use to attach my weight. Okay, so I'm going to, oh, the other thing I should talk about is to make loading the seed beads easier, I use a collapsible eye needle. You don't have to do that, but you'll see when I show you how to do it that this will make it much easier to load those beads up. It's an option. It's not required. The size of clasp that you're going to want is a 6ID clasp, so interior diameter. And yeah, I'll be back in a minute and we'll start the project. Okay, I'm back. So the first thing that you are going to want to do is pass all 8 of your cords through the hole of your pendant. Now I'm working around the camera here, but it should go okay. So I've got 6 through there, and then I'm going to get, sometimes if you pull it tight on the one end, it gives you a little space to put those last few cords through. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, there's one. Where's that other one? There we go. There's 2. So you want all 8 of your cords to come through. Because we've cut these Tex 135 cords at 60 inches, when we pull the pendant to allow it to drop to approximately the middle, it doesn't have to be exact, approximately the middle, you're going to have like 30 inches either side. So what you want to do then is we're going to tie a knot in these cords. I've got to get rid of the dog hair here. And you want the knot to be far enough away that your pendant can easily move back and forth like that, but not so far that it's like you don't want it up here, so it's going to be saggy. And so you want to tie an overhand knot. So trying to do this around the camera. Maybe that ends here. Okay. So when you tighten the knot, you want to take a little bit of time to make sure that they're smooth. You don't have like a lot of slack. Like you don't want it to be like that. You want to pull each strand. So you're going to have 16 now because you put 8 cords through. So we're going to pull each strand to make to have them smoothly sitting in a nice knot off. And you don't have to pull them tight. You just need to pull them a little bit and kind of wiggle that knot down. You want your knot to be kind of elongated and not a tight round knot, because it's got to fit through the whole of the BeCharmed pearls. So let's just take our time and give that tighten it up just a little bit. I got to apologize while I'm doing this because I have a really bad cold. I've been putting off doing this video, so I'm not, hacking up a lung in your ear here. So forgive me if my voice is a little gravelly. Much better today than it has been for sure. Okay, I think I got them all. So, okay, so you can see, oh, I got one that's loose. I'll find it in a second. But you can see it's going to move. So when I get my BeCharmed bead there, it will still move. Yeah, I need to find that one cord that's a little bit looser. And just so it sits nice. So I'm going to pause again here and find that little cord so that I don't have that, I don't know if you can see it. See, there you go. You can see that. I don't want that sticking up. I want it to be smooth. So I'm going to find that, and then I'll be right back. So once your knot is slightly elongated, fairly smooth, the next thing we need to do is pass all 16 strands of Tex 135 through these beads. Now, you might need to do this a little bit strategically. Use it, and that's where this piece of scrap comes in. What I do is I take just a section of it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to count them out or anything. And you take this wire, wrap it around a few of these cords, and just pull them through. Then you don't have to be stringing them. And so I'm pulling the, oops, you can't see it in the, there we go. We're pulling that through. I'm going to pull it through all 3 beads, and then I'll do the next section. Sometimes, I mean, you can try doing the all of them together, but it's a pretty tight fit. So this way it's a pretty loose fit to get them through, and hopefully the last one will work out well too. I should mention about color and placement. What I've done, if I'm using 3 colors, you want to choose a Texlon or a Tex 135 Eslon that contrasts with your Soutache, and then you can, or that, at least that's what the design calls for. Obviously, you don't have to do that. You can do whatever colors you want, but that's what I've done here. And the Soutache I'm using is Midnight, so it's black, and then the seed beads are going to pick up the color of this lighter pearl. So this is the second section of cords, and it comes through pretty easily. If you tried to pull all of them through, it gets a little bit cramped. So we're going to do it this way, or at least with the objective of getting all 16 strands through your BeCharmed beads. So that pulled through fairly easily. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to wiggle the very bottom bead. And if you're only using one, this is why you want an elongated knot, is so that it's easier to kind of wiggle it over. It will fit. You just there we go. I felt the little pop. So now this is my pendant piece. My pendant has the ability to move, and I have my stack of beads on top of that. Now we're going to separate the strands into 2 groups of 8 on each side. It doesn't really matter which one, but I try to, make it fairly even so that, you're not grabbing one from the other side. So there you can see, let's make sure I've got 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8 on one side, 8 on the other side. Oops. And when I tighten them, I still have movement. So take one side, and one side of those 8 strands, and this is where we're going to use your bobbin. We want to put all 8 of them in there and just wrap it around. This will help you keep them out of your way while you're braiding until you're ready, until you need them. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be out of the way. The other side, you're going to use your disc. And we're going to place, pairs of your Eslon. So we want, the reason we're using pairs of the Eslon is because we're going to move those as one element, but we're going to have seed beads on one of those strands and the other one will be empty. So you want to place your pairs of Eslon into slots on the right, so not the left, the right of each dot. Okay, so the right of each dot. So if I'm, so you're going to be diagonally opposite. And as you move your, there we go, the right. And when I'm looking at this one, the right. Okay, so that means, oops, you have two strands in 1, 9, 17, and 25. Diagonally opposite. You want to tighten them up so that you're about in the middle. Your point of braiding is in the middle of the hole. And this one needs to come down a little tiny bit. There we go. So you can see that my point of braiding is in the middle of the hole, in the middle of my bead, and my other 8 strands are pulled off to the side like that. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to add our soutache. So you want to find the approximate middle. It doesn't have to be exact. You have lots of room. There's, I think when I braided and braided and braided, I got to like 26 inches, and I thought, no, that's long enough. So you have at least 26 inches that you can, of length, you can make this. So you want, oops, sorry, Jamie. Okay, so you want to place your Eslon on either side of the dots, again, diagonally opposite. 2 pieces of Eslon will be used for the second side, so you only need to place 2 pieces. Approximate middle goes at your point of braiding. So this is what your setup looks like. Hopefully you can see that. So before you start braiding, we're going to talk about attaching your weight. Now, I'm using, this is a Swarovski crystal. So I have chosen to wrap my weight in some bubble wrap. You can wrap your crystal in the bubble wrap, or if you're not concerned about whether you break your pendant or not, I just don't want any dangling things to hit my pendant. So to attach your weight, you take that scrap of Eslon we talked about before, fold it in approximate half, and you do a lark's head knot. So we are going to be moving this up and down your braid as it gets longer. But so a lark's head knot is where you create a loop, pass the long ends through your loop, and then in my case I've got a gator weight, so I attach it, and you can see it's not really hitting that pendant, but as I move it up and the weight gets closer, it could potentially break that pendant, and I want to avoid that. So that's what you do. Okay, so now we're going to start our braiding. And what you need to be aware of, movements of this braid are made with intention. And what I mean by that is you don't just pull and yank and put them in the hole, in the slot, because you're going to be pulling things off kilter. And when you're dealing with things that are a different tension, you've got it's more laying the braid or the cords into the slot. So it's top right down as usual. And these first movements will lock your soutache in place. Bottom left up. I'm probably getting too close. Rotate. Top left down, or top right down. See, I'm making sure they're not crossed. Let me get bottom left up. I don't normally use bobbins on these cords because they're really not that long. They're kind of like a bracelet length because you're only doing one side. So what you want to do is you're going to braid top right down, bottom left up with intention. So just lay it flat over the point of braiding and just engage it slightly in the slot. Don't pull it way in there, like it doesn't need to go in that far. It just needs, lay it down and engage it so that it holds there without moving your center, without moving that center of braiding too much, your point of braiding. So top right down, bottom left up, and just so you can see, I don't want it to pull that soutache out of alignment. So sometimes you have to hold it with your thumb so that you can see it's still fairly flat. So you're going to continue braiding around top right down, bottom left up, rotate until you're straddling the next 2 dots. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, here we are again, and we're straddling the dots. My next move, as you can see from the point of braiding, is going to be top right down from here, from number 25, and bottom left up. So what I want to do now is, now that the beads or the cords are locked in place, you can see on the other side that they are, is we're going to take one of the strands of text 135 that's in slot 25, doesn't matter which one, and we're going to load on 60 seed beads. The reason we're doing 60 is because we're going to be, I'm going to use my big eye or my collapsible eye needle. The reason we're going to use 60 is we're going to drop 3 beads at a time. So that means there'll be 20 beaded sections of 3 beads. So basically you just stick your Eslon through the hole in your collapsible eye needle, and I'll move these over a little bit, so I'll just dump some here so you can see. And I'm going to pick up 60. So you want to load 60. I usually load in 5, so I'll pick up 5 and then pull it down my cord, and you'll see that it just kind of falls down on there. And then it'll be 10, 3, 4, oops, 4, 5. Okay, so I'll do that on each of the cords, and then you pull it down until I have 60 on one of the cords in 25 and 60 on one of the cords in 9. Once you have your 60 beads loaded on the diagonally opposite cords, just one of them, you want to make sure you've put a stop bead on there, and that's was in the materials list. I've just used a little size 8. Size 6 is too big for these Tex 135. That just doesn't hold it very well. So then slide those beads up so they're sitting just at the bottom of your disc there. So you still have 2 cords in that slot, and your seed beads are close at hand. So when you move them, you take both cords out of the slot, you let 3 beads slide down to the middle like that on the one cord, and then again with intention, you want to smooth your 2 cords so they aren't all crossing over, and some cross is okay, but you want them to be flat enough so that when you're on the other side, your beads aren't covered up by the other piece of Eslon. So then you take 3 cords or 3 seed beads from the bottom, let them slide under the first cord that you cross, just like normal beading, smooth them out, and with intention, pull them into that slot. But what you don't want to do is pull so tight that you're bending. You can see that the Eslon is still relatively, or sorry, the soutache is still relatively square. I'm going to just even this one out. I'm trying to do this around a camera, which is a little bit tougher than just normal. You probably won't have this same issue. So especially for the first couple, it's important to make sure that those beads stay under the cord. This one's trying to pop out on me. And it's okay if it has to go to this side a little bit. There we go. But don't pull it so that it moves that Eslon, or that soutache. You want it, there we go. So it's going to stay under that cord like that. Okay, so things are still relatively square. Then you move your next top right down. These ones don't have seed beads on it, so you just move the 2 cords. And again, you can see I'm not pulling super tight. It's not moving those cords very much at all. Top right down, bottom left up, smooth and insert. So this careful braiding takes a lot longer time than just like pulling them into the slot, but it's worth it in the end. So again, then now we're moving our soutache. So top right down, bottom left up. And again, I'm not pulling, so I still have things fairly square. Rotate. Top right down. Smooth it so it's not all twisted. Bottom left up. So you can see when I take it out of the slot, I'm holding it with my thumb so that it's not pulling things. So I'm still relatively square. This one's getting a little bit wonky, so I'm going to tighten that a little bit. So now I'm back with my seed beads cord, so I'm going to let 3 go. It's a good idea to double check your count too, because if you get to the end of your seed beads and there's more on one cord than the other, you know you've either forgotten something to drop beads or you've miscounted. So top right down with intention, bottom left up. The first ones are a little bit, they're the hardest. I'm hoping that you can see this and I'm not moving out of camera range while I'm doing it. Bottom left up. Okay, so you can see it's not moving these middle cords very much at all. They're sitting there, they're not twisted. Top right down, both cords. Gonna make sure those ones aren't moving too much. Bottom left up. So as you braid, of course, things get longer underneath. Don't forget to move your weight up. So in a couple more sections, I will move my weight up, but you can see the beads are sitting on the outside. I think it's going to look good when it's done, hopefully. So continue braiding until all your beads are in, and then braid for whatever length you want. And I'll come back and I'll show you how to massage your braid a little bit, how to tie it off and take that first side off. I know I mentioned this before, but I wanted to just show you. So I'm about halfway through adding my seed beads, but you see how long it's getting. And I think that because I don't want a lot of swinging like this with the weight, I'm going to reposition my weight up the braid. So you detach it from this little piece of Eslon, take that off, and just attach it further up your braid. You want to keep your weight as close to the point of braiding as reasonable. So I never let it get more than like maybe 4 inches and then when so now you can see that it's not hitting the pendant, and it's closer to my point of braiding, so I get a better tension on the top. So it's still pretty good, and I'm going to keep going, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so once you've got your beads added, and you've braided for however long you want it to be, the way I tie it off, and I mean everybody has a different way, is I take 2 diagonally opposite cords, and you'll notice, actually I should mention this, you'll notice that your point of braiding might cinch up a little bit when you're not adding beads anymore, and that's okay. It just pulls it together a little bit because you don't need that room anymore, but you've still braided with intention. Things are still at the top of your disc, nothing's sagging below. take 2 diagonally opposite, and I tie them in a surgeon's knot, not really tight, just a loose one, just so things don't move around too much once I take it off my disc. Then you're going to remove all your cords from the slots, take it off your disc. Yeah, here we go. And you're going to take your weight off. And you'll notice in your braid, there's kind of like holes in it. You can see like there's like sections in here. I roll my braid in my fingers like this just to kind of even everything out. Sorry about that, dogs were barking. Yeah, I'm just going to roll it a little bit to even things out so you don't have those big holes. Now, those are normal when you're braiding with multiple materials. Soutache is flat, so when you fold over with your intentional braiding, you create a bit of a space there. And we just want to even it out a little bit, and so that it has a nice look to it. And now we can tie our overhand knot on this edges to make sure nothing goes awry, and start on the second side. So go ahead and do your second side, same as we did the first side, adding your soutache to your eslon. We're going to braid up the second side. Okay, so side 2 is done. I've rolled out the braid, tied knots in the ends, and you can see there's quite a bit left over, so you can make it as long as you like. I think this one will be like about 18 inches, 18 to 20 inches. So there is another video on my website that talks about finishing, so I'm not going to go through the whole finishing. I just cut the ends off, and then you need to seal. Decide how long you want it to be. Oh, I need to do a little bit more rolling out there. How long you want it to be, and seal either by stitching or with diamond glaze or something where you're going to cut. Always test fit your clasp. And I use 2-part epoxy and highly recommend that. It's never failed for me. And I also use painter's tape to tape the clasp on until the adhesive sets, and you shouldn't have any issues with that. And I hope that this tutorial or video has provided you with some inspiration on how to create these pendants with either navettes, as I've done here, or any other type of pendant that you like, and large hole beads. I particularly am fond of the Swarovski BeCharmed beads. They're getting more difficult to find, but you can also use other large hole beads. There are some glass ones that I've added to my website, and there's one that I just came across the other day, so I thought I would show it to you. It's a sterling silver one I had in my stash, so it has a pretty big hole too, but you want something that's going to be deep enough to hide that knot. Thanks so much for watching. Happy braiding, and I hope to see you soon. Head on over, like or subscribe, and make sure you follow Glitz and Kit's Facebook page to get all the news and what's the most current happenings. Thanks so much again, and happy braiding.